Now, a very important continuation, once we have discussed that the conduits, there are the traveling tracts, the ascending and the descending are being carried through the brainstem, we have the extension of the spinal cord. So the spinal cord, you can just remember that it's basically a road, or it's basically the traveling of the different ascending and the descending tracts that takes place inside the spinal cord. So when we look at the general organization of the spinal cord, we must know that we have these 7 cervical regions that we have to discuss. Then we have the 12 thoracic and 5 lumbar regions to the spinal cord. And then finally, we have the sacrum and the coccyx. So this is what is the general organization, and the 31 pairs of the spinal nerves, they basically come out of this spinal cord. And then there are this ganglia that are present laterally to the spinal cord. Now, this is again very important that you come to know that there are the nerves that are coming out, and they form the brachial plexus in the upper arm, and they form the lumbar plexus in the lower limb. So we have an upper lumbar plexus, upper brachial plexus, and we have a lower lumbar plexus that are being constituted through the nerves that are coming out of the spinal cord. And then obviously the messages can be ascending as well as descending in their nature, and we'd be particularly going through the details of the spinal cord over here. How are the messages being conveyed to the effector organs in a very smooth way, and how are the messages taken up along the ascending tracts towards the brainstem, towards the thalamus, and towards the higher centers of the brain for the final relay and the final integration and the coordination of the particular sensations that is going to take place. So when we look at the cut sections of the spinal cord and how these ascending and descending tracts are formed, before getting into the details of those particular ascending and descending tracts, you must be well versed with the phenomena that we have a dorsal region of the spinal cord, and then we have a ventral region of the spinal cord, which is basically referring to the anterior portion of the spinal cord. So the posterior is basically known as the dorsal, and the anterior is known as the ventral portion. The gray matter is basically constituted as a butterfly-shaped structure that is present centrally. And over here, you can even emphasize that we have the white matter, which is present peripherally. So this is something that you have to remember. When we studied the cerebral cortices, we just noted that the gray matter was present peripherally and the white matter anteriorly. Over here, it is the exact opposite. We have the gray matter, which is present in the interior aspect, and then we have the white matter, which is present peripherally. So it's the exact opposite out here. This butterfly-shaped gray matter which is present and which can be easily identified is basically what we see on a cross-section of the spinal cord. Now, the central canal is present in the middle of the gray matter, and it's basically the CSF that is flowing through this central canal. It's present whole and whole. Throughout the spinal cord, it is present and is basically taking these, this is where the central canal is present, and you can even take out the CSF from the central canal and send it for the path labs, pathology labs for the further assay if something is wrong with the CSF constituents or not. So this is the basics that we want to basically emphasize on when we are looking at a cross-section of the spinal cord, and this is basically how we are going to relate to different ascending and descending tracts on the cross-section of the spinal cord.